I think that what Nicole points out about the reality about polling numbers for incumbent presidents and the real history of that versus what President Biden said, which was not actually factually accurate as far as I can tell, that's worrying because it makes me worry that the president is being given information about his political standing that may not be based in reality, that may be sunnier than is real.
They do acknowledge that polling has taken a hit. But they also say that they still see a path to 270. That path runs through the best path, they say, through Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I might observe that's their only path.
Yeah.
And like Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia were arguably gone before the debate.
Yeah, and we have time to go, but they were already certainly leaning away
that's what I mean.
From Joe Biden. And quite frankly, as you know, Jake, if you sit down with Biden campaign officials prior to the debate, they would say their path to 270 is through Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin,
and
the second congressional district in Nebraska. And they wanted this early debate because they wanted to wake up the public to this race and to this contrast. The public has been awakened to this contest, I don't think in the way that the Biden campaign wanted. But I should just note, since the debate, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin got harder, not easier. So that even though they see that as their only viable path, that means their viable path got less probable for them.
They see it as their best path. I'm the one saying it's their only path as of right now.
He's gone, gang. I mean, as far as CNN is concerned, and even to a certain extent, MSNBC, gang, Joe is done. The painful reality of the polling is starting to set in, and more Democrats and media pundits are coming to the conclusion Joe has got to go. Right? Joe has got to go. We got the latest on Biden's dismal press conference last night where he committed perhaps the two worst gaffes of his entire presidency. And that's saying something. And we're going to see why, as of today, more and more Democrats are indeed more determined than ever to remove Biden from the ticket. Hey, gang, with everything going on right now, it's hard to say what could happen or what will happen. And to make matters even worse, we usually don't find out until it's too late. But when it comes to your money, you should understand what's at stake. That's why I partnered with Goldco. Now, you guys know I'm a big fan of hedging future risks with the timeless value of gold and silver. And that's why you've got to click on the link below or go to turleytalkslikesgold.com to get your free gold and silver kit. Gang, it's an amazing free resource that shows you step-by-step how to get into precious metals tax-free and penalty-free, even if your money's still in a retirement account like an IRA or a 401k. And the best part is that you may already qualify to get up to $10,000 in free silver. You've seen the writing on the wall. Click on that link below or go to turleytalkslikesgold.com to get your free gold and silver kit right now, because this is about taking back control of your freedom and your privacy. We can't predict the future, but we can certainly prepare for it. So don't wait. Take action now to defend your freedom, your privacy, and your future. Click on that link below right now. It was, when all said and done, a frankly bizarre and rather surreal press conference. Remember, it was billed as Biden's big boy conference. This was his big boy. This was a completely unscripted event that began with Biden using a teleprompter for his opening remarks. Yes, Biden began his unscripted press conference by reading from a script. And then after that, he did this.
I'll take your questions. I've been given a list of people to call on here. Reuters, Jeff Mason.
So again, this big boy press conference for old poopy pants, this completely unscripted press conference begins with Biden delivering a scripted intro, and then he reads from a script on who he's going to call from. I want this to sink in. When have you ever seen anything even remotely like this? What other world leader is doing this? What other politician is doing this, period? When have you ever seen a press conference, like one where the president begins with a teleprompter for his opening remarks and then calls on members of the press from a previously approved list of names? If this isn't the definition of choreographed, I don't know what is. Now, what followed, as you would expect, given the only people who are allowed to ask questions are those who were pre-approved, what followed were puffball, kid gloves questions from an obviously corrupt establishment press corps. Question after question, again, clearly choreographed to deliberately desperately try to make Biden seem cogent and coherent and competent. But Biden obviously knew the questions ahead of time. Some think he had something in his ear just by the way he was speaking. We don't know. And of course, we shouldn't put that past them. And yet, despite all of that obvious choreography, despite all of that, here is how Biden answered his first question.
Do you have about Vice President Harris's ability to beat Donald Trump if she were at the top of the ticket?
Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there.
Let's start there. Let's start off this press conference, my big boy moment, with one of the biggest gaffes of my presidency. Let's start with a major gaffe, referring to the vice president as Trump. Now, you all know that gaffe was bad enough, but you all know that wasn't it. You all know that wasn't it. You all know that gaffe came on the heels of an even more consequential gaffe earlier in the day when Biden was introducing Ukrainian President Zelensky to the podium. And here is his utterly cringeworthy introduction.
Now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Well, he may be better, but Biden sure ain't. I mean, that gaffe, it wasn't, look, let's just be honest. It wasn't just a gaffe. That was painful idiocy on display for all the world to see. That was idiocy. No other world leader would have done that. No other world leader would have expressed himself in such a painfully idiotic mistake. I mean, that, of all the gaffes you can make with Volodymyr Zelensky, that's the last one. Introducing him as his mortal enemy in the time of war is probably the last one. Here's how Red Eagle Politics put it. I thought this was very clever. Biden called Zelensky Putin and Kamala Trump a couple hours apart, arguably two of the worst gaffes of his presidency, both at a time when he's trying to prove he's still, quote, with it. Glorious. It was glorious. And that constant Biden deference to anyway, when he embarrasses himself, when he starts losing his train of thought, that of course was literally littered all throughout the press conference.
This is, well, anyway, in the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling in the 15 time zones a week before. Anyway, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway, it wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
Now, of course, the press conference had what are now becoming routine Biden cognitive malfunctions like this one.
And I think you'll see that some of our European friends are going to be curtailing their investment in Russia. In China, as long as China continues to have this indirect success, help to Russia in terms of being able to help their economy as well as help them in, as a consequence of that, their ability to fight in Ukraine.
Yeah. I don't know what he just said there. I don't think he knows what he just said there, right? It's one of those moments. And there was even a moment of extraordinary irony.
Who goes would inform you.
Am I using that way? You said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next two
down, I can't get the job done. That's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that yet. None. Who I got here? Merrick, Pulaski Radio.
All right, for some reason that clip got interrupted. I don't know what that was, but basically he said, if I slow down, I can't get the job done. And that's a sign that I shouldn't be doing it. But there's no indication of that. None. And then he goes, okay. Someone help me read this list. Now, there were at least some reporters among that feckless lot, that pre-approved feckless lot, that did ask some pressing questions about Biden's fledgling campaign. And Biden's response, of course, did not disappoint. Take a look.
who goes would inform you.
Am I using that way? You said?
Are you thinking that way about how the next 2 weeks go? Will that affect your decision? Or are you fully determined on running in November as the party's nominee?
I'm determined on running, but I think it's important that I allay fears by let them see me out there. Let me see them out. For the longest time it was, Biden's not prepared to sit with us unscripted. Biden's not prepared to, anyway.
Are you worried about this cognitive decline coming? Oh no, anyway, defers again to his anyway. And at the end of this conference, perhaps the most fitting end to this, frankly, train wreck of a campaign, Biden was asked about President Trump's response to his confusing him with Kamala Harris. Trump had already been tweeting out what a goof Biden is in confusing him with Kamala Harris. Here's what Biden had to say.
This concludes.
Respectfully, earlier you misspoke in your opening answer. You referred to Vice President Harris as Vice President Trump. Right now, Donald Trump is using that to mock your age and your memory. How do you combat that criticism from tonight?
Listen to him.
This concludes tonight's press conference. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Seriously, what kind of answer was that? Listen to him. What does that even mean? Listen to him. What does that? And then he just shuffles off the stage, the Biden shuffle. I'll give him that, by the way. He didn't get lost getting off the stage. I'll give him that. It was, I don't even know what to say here. Here's the headline. I'll let the New York Post say it. Here's the headline from this morning's edition. Blunder of the world. Note, not wonder. Blunder of the world, with the byline, Bumblin' Biden. Did you see that, by the way? That's our tagline. Bumblin' Biden. That's our moniker for him. I should have trademarked that. Bumblin' Biden gaffes his way through make or break Q&A. Any Dem convinced? And of course, that's the fundamental question of this campaign, of this imploding, catastrophic campaign. How many Democrats are going to stick with Joe after these utterly disastrous 2 weeks? We know more and more never Trumpers who were all with Joe at the beginning are leaving the Biden train now. Meghan McCain has had enough. The ultimate never Trumper tweeted out, please stop making us watch Biden humiliate himself. I really can't take it anymore. I feel so sick and sad and awful about all of this. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Something's obviously wrong with him. I truly don't understand what his family is thinking. Yeah, you're a little late to the party, Meghan. I mean, we were all saying this 3.5 years ago when you're piling on Trump, when you and your ilk were fawning all over this corpse in the basement here in Delaware. I mean, remember, that's what's so utterly ironic about what Biden was saying last night, or at least trying to say, through all his mumbling and his slang of prepositions. I've been all over the world. I've been all over the world these last 2 weeks. Where was Trump? Where's Trump been? I bet. Well, now don't hold me to it, but I bet. Well, anyway, I've been to 20 cities. I've been to 20 different cities. And what's Trump doing? He's just sitting on a golf cart. A golf cart. Well, anyway, that's coming from a guy who got elected. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. After hiding in his basement for months. That's coming from a guy who got holed up for 6 days at Camp David to prepare for a debate he absolutely bombed. I mean, how can anyone take anything coming out of that oatmeal-crusted mouth seriously? I have no idea at this point. And frankly, that appears to be the opinion of more and more high-ranking Democrats here. Unfortunately for Joe and his rehabilitation tour, 4 more congressional Democrats have come out as of this morning calling on Biden to step aside. This is not going to stop. This is not going to stop. This drip, or as Karl Rove, who I normally despise, but I think he rightfully put it, this campaign is basically bleeding out in front of us. And we're just going to see this pool of blood grow and grow and grow. Make no mistake, there are now reports that dozens, you heard that right, dozens, this is from CBS News, dozens of Democrats are about to step forward and call on Biden to bow out of this race. This is coming out at the exact same time that CNN is reporting that Pelosi and Obama are getting together to discuss Joe's viability behind the scenes. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. I mean, talk about Game of Thrones stuff. You've got now internal polling among Democrats. Have you heard about this? They're trying to gauge whether Cackle's Kamala is a viable candidate. I mean, that's being reported under the surface, as it were. It's on the low in terms of what's happening inside the Biden camp. They themselves want to see if Kamala is a feasible alternative. I have to be honest with you. I think that's a bit of job security for Joe that they're engaged in. Her numbers are so low, they want to show nervous donors, which we'll get into in a moment because this is huge. That's a huge development. But they want to show nervous donors that Biden is actually really their only hope against Trump. It sure ain't Kamala. She polls even worse. But regardless, gang, the very fact that all these things are happening just 100+ days away from Election Day shows you what disarray the Democrats are in right now. Don't forget, we've got our Call to Arms event, our very own free online event this next Wednesday, July 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern, that you're absolutely not going to want to miss. This is no time to get complacent. We know this. We know the Democrats can steal. And that means that this is the time that we all galvanize together and we learn what we can, each one of us, do to bury the Democrats for a generation. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about on Wednesday night. It's a completely free event. It's designed to show you the crucial role that you can play in securing Trump's victory in November. We've already had over 1,000 of your fellow patriots RSVP. And if you click on that link below right now to secure your seat there, we're going to send you your Courageous Conservatives book bundle absolutely free as a thank you for taking your part in securing Trump's victory seriously. Oh, yeah, and I forgot. You can also scan the QR code to register. Isn't that cool? I told you we're getting high tech. Turley Talks tech. So whatever you do, click on that link below or scan that QR code. I got to get used to saying that. I'm having my body, my QR code. Anyway, don't wait. Click on that link or scan that QR code and register today.